Good evening. My name is Paul Dibley, and I'm recording this for the topic with Persuasion and Negotiation, Class 740. My topic of choice is going to be on the reason why top executives deserve the amount of pay that they receive. So to begin, we're going to look at some options with the layout of how they actually seem to get paid. If we look from a private side of things, most private companies, the CEO also doubles as the actual owner of the company. So it's not really a fair trade to go ahead and say, hey, this guy's getting paid a whole lot of money. You know, what's going on with that? Well, they also have quite a bit vested into the company itself. Therefore, they're going to walk away with a lot of money, or if things go under, they're going to walk away with no money or a lot of debt. Most top execs, though, I believe that this is looking at is more of a publicly traded company. The reason with that is because, most large companies have board of directors, shareholders, that kind of setup. They're going to want to hire the best people to run their company, so therefore the shareholders get paid a whole lot more money than having just somebody off the street running the company for them. According to Forbes, one of the research studies show that most of the top executives are receiving only 20% base salary in their pay. What that means is that 80% of the amount of money they make is incentive based. Could be a commission layout, stock options. There's a whole different setup that it could be. There's tons of different ways of being incentivized in order to make a company grow, or if their specialty is to take a company that's going to be going through bankruptcy, or if it's to filter out and get new people. There's tons of different setups that CEOs can be hired for, and that's why their pay is incentivized to make them want to go and get it. Take a look at frontline employees. If we're looking at a standard frontline employee, you're looking at somebody who deals with a day-to-day customer, or maybe just doing standard sales or something like that. They're dealing with face of the company, but also there's no incentive to go ahead and do more setup. Moving up the chain, you'll have your managers. Their incentive is to ensure the frontline employees are doing their job correctly, make sure everything's running the way it should be. Their incentive is to ensure that everything runs as smoothly as possible. Their salary is going to be a tad higher. It could be, there might be an incentive, but majority might be 80% is base salary and a 20% incentive based. When we move all the way up to a CEO position, if I was me running a company, it would be me looking at, hey, how can I make this company make more money? Ultimately, that's why you're getting paid the big bucks, is you want to make this company profitable year over year. You're not here to just show up and say, hey, I got this awesome position, and now look, I'm stuck with this. So, ultimately, we're looking at, we want to make sure we know, CEO is doing his job. He's managing the whole company from the top down. So he's got, his board he has to work with. He's got to balance all the shareholders and what their needs are. Then it's got to go managers of all the departments. Could be operations, sales, warehousing. It could be just about anything. And he or she's got to manage all of that on top of ensuring that the company's profitable. If there's something that's going on, he wants to seek it out, make sure everything's correct, all of that kind of stuff so that it does well. All of this is part of the job that entails. Yeah, he may only work Monday to Friday or something like that, or he has a lot of vacation, but the stress level on it is ridiculously high. If you're going to be, I know, for instance, with my last job when I worked in the call center, it was a high-stress job. I dealt with customers day in and day out. And, it wasn't a salary. It was a base pay. It was hourly base pay. But there was a commission incentive that was attached to it. The reason that they have that base is because, you could just do the bare minimum, help the customer out, and move on to the next call. Their incentive base was to say, okay, we fixed your issue. How would you like to add television channels? Or how would you like to add, internet to your account, or get a home phone set up? And that way, we're not only, one, keeping a customer happy, but you're also getting them better services and more services to improve on that. That's just from a frontline setup. Now imagine on a CEO's level when you're playing the game of saying, okay, We have this such and such supplier. They've been our supplier for this long. What can we do for them in order to, keep their business going, get referrals off of them? You're working with your sales department, your advertising, your marketing to make sure the company's doing well. Then you go on the flip side, after you've signed it, you've got your operations set up. Okay, we've got these orders that need to be fulfilled, or we've got this or that. You need to go through the whole setup and say, okay, what do we need that needs to be done to get this taken care of on time or early, and then go over to your accounting section and say, okay, how do we collect, or who do we collect from? Make sure this stuff's getting paid in, who's not paying on time, so we know if we need to cut them short or anything like that. All of that kind of stuff they're in charge of all of it. And then you have also, from almost like your silent partner, you're now working with the board of directors and the shareholders. Their biggest thing is, I want to make money. That's what they're there for. I mean, they want to make sure the company's profitable, so therefore they make more money. Now you got to balance that out too, is, okay, I got to listen to what the shareholders and the board has to say and work that into the company fold as well to make sure everything comes out the way it should. So, I mean, overall, top executives, they have a lot to juggle day in and day out, and you're not going to just pull somebody from the front line who does the bare minimum and put them there, because they're just going to continue doing the bare minimum and it'll be a very short reign. Whereas if you got somebody with that entrepreneurial drive, the motivation to say, okay, I want to be the best possible fit for this position, I'm going to make sure that I outperform myself month over month, year over year, make both shareholders happy, make the company grow and prosper, and therefore make yourself, you get your pocketbook bigger and stronger. I mean, we're looking at, say for instance, you're only making, $40,000 and that's your base salary. You need to have some kind of an incentive to go after more. I mean, yeah, 40,000 might work on a basic level, if you're a frontline employee, something like that. But I mean, there's no incentive to do well if we're just going to say, hey, you're our CEO, we're going to pay you $40,000 a year. You got to run the whole company. Nobody's going to take that job because it's not there to be taken. It's just there's no incentive to try hard. You just fill a position and sit there on the seat. If they were to come and say, okay, your base pays $40,000, but we have stock options and commission base that can get you anywhere up to an extra $100,000 a year. Now you're going to look at it, well, hey, I can make now, instead of $40,000, I can make up to $140,000. What do I got to do that? And then you have something to strive. It's what motivates you. Top executives, yeah, there are plenty of them out there that, may get almost like a signing bonus and stuff like that. But it does have to take into consideration with the amount of work they have to deal with. There are some that probably don't necessarily deserve that kind of pay, or there's, shady business going on. That's why you have business ethics and you have the ability to call it in and that kind of stuff. That's how you keep everybody as an honest employee. But overall, top execs with what they have to work with, that is sad to say, that's what it has to be, and that's how it's going to work. That's how an executive amount should be paid. Overall, most of them have started from the bottom, worked their way up. That's how they became the specialized person. And when I was working in the call center, they hired somebody in order to basically help the company through bankruptcy. That's what they were hired for. They do a very good job of taking a failing company and getting it restarted back on its feet again. And that's what this one was made for. So this was Paul Dively. I have now shared my discussion, my negotiation as to why top executives deserve the highest amount of pay for the amount of workload that they have to deal with. Hope you enjoyed the talk and have a good rest of your day.